Okay, to get this started, I thought first we might discuss kind of the size and scope of college hockey and the numbers that it entails, because I'm not sure that players really realize or parents really realize that just how difficult a task it might be to accomplish playing at a D1 or a D3 level.
You know, Mike, that'd be a good idea from my perspective. I know a lot of parents feel as though it's not all that tough to get to the college level. They've seen kids down the street do it. They've seen friends' kids do it. And, of course, we all believe in our hearts that our kids are just as good or better than everyone else's kid.
Yeah, that's basically true, Steve. I mean, everybody feels their kid is better than one kid that they know that's played at D1 college level. So right away they think, boy, my kid can make it. What they don't understand, I mean, everybody does understand one thing. They know that players have to be skilled and develop their skills and be dedicated to playing hockey. And everybody kind of just thinks, well, as long as my son does that, he'll make it. But it's really not that easy of a situation. It is kind of a numbers game, and you have to consider some of that. So right away you go, well, wow, 3,300 players. It's got to be very easy to make a college hockey team, and there's 3,300 of them, right?
Absolutely. My son believes that, that 3,000 players would be easily to be able to make one of those teams.
Yeah, that's what everybody thinks. They think particularly that it'd be really easy to make the team because it's 3,000. But what they don't realize is that really represents 6 to 8 years of age range, meaning simply this, that, there are some players that are good enough coming out of AAA major midget or high school hockey that they go directly to college. But nowadays, that's really a very few number of players. It's in a minority. And so what really happens is most players end up gaining some playing experience at some other level, particularly juniors and junior A's. And so what that means is they could play junior A's for up to 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So typically, you've got players entering college that can either be 18 years of age or they could be as old as 21 years of age coming through juniors. And if you kind of do the math, by the time they graduate, they're anywhere from 22 to 25. So in essence, you've got 18 to 25, 26 years of effective age range covered. Well, even though there's 4 years of college hockey playing, and yes, some people do redshirt for a year, you just kind of do the math, you go, oh, divide it by 4. Well, that's not really right, because it isn't that way. It's really divided by either 6 or 8, and while it's up to 8 years of age range, there's not a lot of that, but there's some of it. But let's just say 6, for example. So if you take the D1 number of 1,450 players, and you divide that by 6, you get a number less than 250. And the point here is to understand that if I were to ask you, is your son really one of the best 250 players in his birth year in North America, would you be able to say yes? I mean, even though my son was fortunate enough to play some D1 hockey, if somebody had asked me, is your son, he was born in 1984, is your son really one of the best 250 players born in 1984? I would have been hard-pressed to say yes to that question if it had been asked me before he made a D1 team. And it's not because I didn't have confidence in his capabilities, but I never framed the environment he was trying to be successful in that manner. I didn't think of it in that way. And similarly, if you look at D3, even to play at D3 hockey, if you divide that number 1725 by 6, you're going to get a number around 300. So all of a sudden, you're really looking at, can you be one of the top 200 to 300 players in your birth year in North America? Because remember, it's not just American kids that are going to college playing college hockey. There's Canadians that are on a lot of these rosters of D1 hockey teams and D3 hockey teams. And there's even a few players from the international sector that end up playing. So the point here is just to understand that it really is a very competitive, narrow point that you're trying to accomplish, and recognize that while you may think your son's a great hockey player, he has to compete for a very few, what in reality is a very few spots at his birth year.
Well, Mike, you're right. That's put in perspective. Your kid can be a great hockey player and still not be one of the top 250 or 300 players in the North American, even in the world. That's a really good point.
My point here isn't to be discouraging about whether or not you can make a D1 hockey team, whether or not you should try, because that isn't the point. But it's 2 points here, basically. A, you have to realize how competitive the environment is to make it, and what the numbers game is. It tells you what that is if you understand it. And B, it's to make sure that you really do the right things to properly prepare your son to maximize his potential and his ability to achieve his goal of D1 hockey. And that means doing a lot of things other than just training for hockey. You have to understand that environment and what to do in order to be successful, because it is a numbers game. So it's not that it's unrealistic to hope to play D1 hockey, but it's not just an easy accomplishment that will just happen naturally.